Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 4, beginning from verse number 5. Story of Hiranyakashipu. So he got the boon. Now he cannot be killed inside the house, outside, by any human beings or animal, by any weapon, any bacteria, virus, diarrhea, malaria, none of these things. So he was very happy and he got many powers. So immediately he declared war, world war. This was the first world war. So he says, Sa vijitya dishah sarva lokansya trin mahasuraha devasura manushendran gandharva garudavana. Actually it was not world war, it was universe war, because he went all around. So he says that in this way he conquered all directions and all the planets, not only Earth planet but everywhere, up, down, heaven, hell, Devas, Asuras. Deva is the divine beings. Sometimes you hear the stories about the aliens. They come specifically in America. Sometimes they take people from America, right? Many people from America have been abducted and brought back. So these were all these were conquered by Hiranyakashipu. And the Manusya, human beings, and Gandharvas, they are singers, dancers, Garuda organs, snakes, Siddhas, Charanas. These are varieties of aliens. They are not one type, various types. Charana, Vidyadhara, Rishin, Pitri, Patin, Manun, Yaksha, Raksha, Pishach, Ishan, Preta, Bhuta. So everybody was conquered by him. Did not spare anyone. Siddha Charan, Vidyadharan, Rishin, Pitri, Patin, Manun, Yaksha, Raksha, Pishach, Ishan, Preta, Bhuta, Patin, Atha, Sarva Sakti Patin Jitva, Vashamani, Vishwajit, Jahara Lokapalanam, Sthanani, Satyajasa. So he conquered everyone, brought everyone under his control and became Vishwajit, controller of the universe, not just earth or this world. And he took away the kingdom of all the Lokpalas, the protectors, by his power. Devodhyan Shriyajustam Madhyaste Saha Smatrivistapam Mahendra Bhavanam Saksha Nirmitam Vishwakarmana Trailokya Lakshmayatanam Adhyubhashakhilardhimat. So he went to heaven and he threw away Indra. Indra is the king of heaven. And he himself became the ruler there. And therefore he had under his control all the heavenly gardens and the palace in which Indra was living, which was built by Vishwakarma. Vishwakarma is the engineer of the gods. He is very expert. So this is a very beautiful palace with all the facilities. And Trailokya Lakshmayatana Adhyuvashakhilardhina. So all the opulence was with his control. Everybody. Controlled everybody's treasury. Lakshmi, you know Lakshmi? Who is Lakshmi? Goddess of wealth. Because before women were going to work, they used to be housewives. But they were the one who were having the wealth in their hand. If man earned money, he will come and give it to the wife. So wife was called Lakshmi. Now that system is gone because women themselves make money. So he controlled all the Lakshmi. Yatra vidruma sopana mahamarkata bhuvaha yatra spatika pudyani vedurya stamba panktayaha. So this is a description of heaven where he was living. You have to live in a place like this. So there were very nice stairs there, up, down, and they were made of mahamarkat, what is called lapis lazuli. This is how the stairs were made of. And yatra sphatika kudyani, and the walls were made from sphatic, crystal. So very nice, clean. Don't catch any dirt. Don't need any whitewashing, painting. And Veduriya Stambha Panktaya. And the pillars, they were made from Veduriya. It's another type of gem. Some of the English names. Yatra Chitra Vitanani Padmaraga Snanija. And they had very nice of this Chandava they make with chatris, canopies. Nice. Padmarag is this reddish stone. And Payafena Nibhashaya Muktadana Parichada. And the beds, they were very white, just like the foam in the milk, which means white and also soft. So very soft, white, clean bed. And Muktadama Parichada, and they were covered with the, what do you call, chandeliers hanging, covered with that. And Kujad Vihir Nupura Devya Shabdayanta Itastata Ratna Sthalishu Pashyanti Sudati Sundaram Mukha. And this was not enough. There were very beautiful girls. And they had this, now they don't wear this. Previously in India, the ladies used to wear this, what do you call it, pajab, anklets. So when you walk, then it makes a sound, chum chum, like music. So this is as Kujad Bhi Nupur Devya. These Devis, they were also divine girls, not ordinary. So when they were walking, this was making music. As they walk, they were moving here and there. And Ratna Sthalishu Pashyanti Sudati Sundaram. Because the house was so beautiful and this, what do you call it, pillars, that they will stop there and see themselves. Because women, they like to see their face in the mirror, isn't it? They did a survey that 25% of the life goes standing in front of the mirror. If you see ladies driving in this red light, and they're looking in the mirror with the lights, right? So here also it's an old habit.
I can't drive, so it's not an option. Not really.
And then you have more time.
I need more time.
So that's why they have a mirror. This is called vanity mirror. So because it's in vain. Or it increases your vanity.
Yeah.
Which is in vain.
Interesting.
It is called vanity mirror. So here also they have beautiful face, of course, so that means they have something to see. Because they are Sundaram Mukham, their faces were very beautiful. And Sudati means very nice shining teeth. something nice. So they were walking here and there, and they will stop and then look into it. It's like we have put this mirror here. So many times I see people standing in front, seeing their hair. So imagine this palace where you can actually see yourself everywhere. So you become self-conscious. So he is describing this palace of Indra. So this is built by Vishwakarma. You see, you can imagine how nice engineer, design, architect he is. Very good architect. So Tasmin Mahendra Bhavane Mahabalo Mahamana Nirjita Loka Ekarat Reme Abhivandang Hriyugam Suradibhi Pratapatairurjita Chanda Shasana. So he was happily situated in this palace of Indra, and he was the supreme controller, and there was no one above him. So everybody was scared of him because he was very tough on all these devas. So everybody was coming and paying respect to him. So he was happy that everybody is afraid of him. Tamangavattam vadhanurugandhina yagrittatam rakshamaşeşa deshanyapa apasatopayana panibhirvina tribhistapo yoga valoja sampanam. So when you have power, then basically men, they have two types of enjoyment. One is wine and women, right? There are three W's: wine, women and wealth. These are very important. So he was drinking type of liquor which was very fragrant. It is described here. Says Tamanga Mattam Madhano Urugandhina. Very, very fragrant liquor made from honey. So this was high class. And he was drinking so much that his eyes were turning Vritta, Tamraks, red in color. When you drink too much, your eyes become reddish. So his eyes were red and he was intoxicated because of this drinking. And even then he had all the power, physical power, mental power, yogic power. So all the devas, they were coming to him and bringing gifts. So why do people drink? Why do they drink?
To forget.
To forget. Because really speaking, everybody is looking for happiness. And ultimate happiness comes only from love. Now nobody is going to love him. People can come and respect him. But after some time what happens that, try to imagine that no one loves you and everybody is afraid of you. Then what will happen? You will become so bored that you have to drink. So most of these people who become very famous and they have a lot of fans, they take drugs. Because really speaking, nobody loves them. And they see all this big crowd, but they cannot relate intimately with anybody. But we all have this desire. So then they want to forget it. intoxicate, tend to. Or they have to do something funny, crazy. Sometimes these people try to commit suicide. So then the Britney Spears, she was also attempting suicide.
Really? I haven't heard that.
Hmm?
I haven't heard that. When?
It was 2-3 years ago. In the hotel room, she was trying to hang herself with a bed sheet.
I didn't know.
Keep up with my celebrity news as much as Babaji does.
I know, I don't. You're more on top of. You know more about Britney than I do.
I have to keep track of everybody.
Thank you.
So that actually shows that without love, wealth, power, and fame and name, they don't give satisfaction. That is the important thing. So we should know this, because people are mad after power, mad after wealth, name, fame, position. But you see here, this guy, otherwise what is the need for him to drink? He has got all the power, all the wealth. There is no one that he is afraid of. He is not even afraid of falling sick. Nobody can kill him. But even he needs drinking. So that shows that we can never be satisfied by anything except love. That is the meaning behind it. So we should have our plan in our life. Otherwise, at the end, we will remain empty. So all these big people, they feel empty inside. They may feel okay when there is so many people, crowd, everybody praising, but when they are by themselves, they feel completely empty. Then they have to drink to get rid of this emptiness. There is no fulfillment in the life. So that fulfillment can only come from love. There is nothing else which can give you that. Because if you are hungry, suppose you are very hungry, and then what I come and give you a garland. And I praise you very nicely, oh you are very beautiful, you are so nice. And then I sing a song for you, or maybe this will not satisfy you because you want food in. You are thinking when this fool will stop and ask for food. Imagine that you go to somebody, you are a guest in someone's house, you go there and you are hungry and the person is giving everything else, nice place to live, and he turns on the TV and he says, oh you can watch this movie, but doesn't ask for food. So you're just thinking, when is he going to say something about food? Then he says, you want to go, let's go out for a picnic. So nothing will please you unless you get food. Because all these things are external to you. So similarly, the food which we are looking for is love. And if we don't get that food, then everything else is external. It has no meaning. You will still feel hungry. Empty means hungry. So that is the feeling of emptiness which people have. And most people have this. So then to get rid of that emptiness, then so many other things. Go and watch a match somewhere, go to bar, drink, gambling, this, that, you do. Basically trying to divert your attention. So people are very afraid of being by themselves. If you leave people alone, then they just mad. Why? Because this emptiness starts troubling them. But when you have love inside, even if you are by yourself, you are okay. So the biggest scare people have is of being with themselves. So then you have to engage, texting somebody, Facebook, all these types of, why these gadgets have been made, so that to take away your attention from you. You should be away from yourself. As soon as you come back to you, then you become afraid, scared, bored. You have to do something. So people are very happy when it is Friday, but then Saturday, Sunday they cannot sit in the house. They are running here and there. They should relax, because you are given holiday so that you can relax. But nobody relaxes. They don't know how to relax. So even he, this Hiranyakashipu, who is ruling all over the universe, has all the powers, he is intoxicated. So that means he does not have any power, because he has to depend on an inert object. Means he is a slave of this liquid. He has to depend on this happiness to get the liquid inside. So that's not a very good situation. So all these people, they are coming to him and they are bringing gifts to please him so that he does not bother them, because they are afraid that you never know what he is going to do. So Tribhis Tapo Yoga Balo Vinatribhi, except for Brahma, Shiva and Vishnu. These three people were not under his control. Everyone else was under his control. And when you say Shiva, also means Ganesh and Durga, means the family of Shiva, and Brahma and Vishnu. So they were not under his control, but other devas like Varuna, Indra, Chandra, they were on under his subjugation. They were bringing gifts to him. Jagu Mahendrasna Moja Shastitam Vishwavashu Tumbururasmadadaya Gandharva Siddha Rishyostuvan Muhur Vidyadhara Apsarasya Pandava. So says Narada, he is describing, he says, all these big people, when he used to sit on his seat, then Vishwavasu, Tumburu, these are sages, he says, and I myself, we used to go and sing for him, to please him. So even Narada was doing that, going with his veena, singing a song for him. Then Gandharva, they are expert in singing and dancing. Siddha, sages, Vidyadhara and Apsaras, these heavenly damsels. So they will go and praise him and sing and dance for him, because he has no work to do. If you are not devoted to God and you have no work to do, then you have to find some recreation, some activity to engage yourself.
And very surprised that Narada was singing for him.
Yeah, what could he do? Otherwise he will trouble him. Because Narada is a good singer and he knows, so he will say, okay, come and sing for me. Or he has to go and hide somewhere. So he is himself telling this. He says, Asmadade, he says, people like me. So Narada and maybe other of his friends, Tumburu is his friend. Vishwavasu. They are all great musicians. So usually they are doing kirtan. But now in front of Hiranyakashipu, I don't know what they were singing. Saiva varnashrami bhi kratubhir bhuri dakshinaihi Ijyamano havirbhagan agrahit svena tejasa. So people who were doing the worship in Varnashrama, like doing yajna, etc. So what was he doing? He was getting the result of that. Because he is told that any offering you make, then you have to put the oblations for Hiranyakashipu. Because he also has these yogic powers. Because when they make this yajna, and then you put the oblation into the fire and you chant the mantra, then that offering is carried to that particular deity. So if you say Indraya Swaha, then it goes to Indra. If you say Varunaya Swaha, then it goes to Varun. So they get power from this. So now Hiranyakashipu was getting whatever was coming to Indra, Varuna or anybody else, he was taking it by his power. So all these people are getting weak because they are not getting any more food. They are living by the oblations of the people. They get strength from that. Now Hiranyakashipu, he was intercepting that and he is taking. Like food is coming to you and someone takes it in the way. So this is what he was doing. So this is because he had the ability, because of this boon this Brahma gave him. He said, I should have all these powers. So he did that. Akrishtapachatasya asit saptadipavati mahi tatha kama dughadyaustu nana ashcharya padam nabha. So in his kingdom there was no need of rain. No need of watering the field. Everything was happening without sowing the seed or plowing the land and then watering. Everything will grow naturally. So people were getting their food without farming. The fruits were coming from the trees, the rivers were giving the water, the rain was coming in time. So this is called Akrishtapacha. Akrishtapacha means that no need to farm. You get naturally things. It's like so many herbs, plants, they grow in the forest. Nobody is planting them there, they happen. So like that, the edible things were also coming, the fruits were coming, the grains, vegetables. In the season they will just come. You don't have to plant spinach or tomatoes. They will just grow in the forest. You just go and pick up pumpkin. You make pumpkin soup. Because originally things were growing like that. So whatever he wanted, that was coming. And many amazing things being given to him. Tasya venavad adharmishthatvepi tasya rajye mahi prabhritaya akrishtapachetvadi gunayukta yad babhuvo tad ati bhayadev अन्यथा मह्यादीनां तत्कर्तृको वध सद्य एव संभवेत् वेनस्तु न तादृक् प्रभाव आसीत् Yam Bhragvade eva Basmi Chakru Yam tu Bhragvadinam Teja Pratham eva Ajahaniti Vivechni. So there is a nice explanation he is giving here. That usually what happens that the system of the universe is that if people are dharmic, they are following their moral duties, then the nature gives required food, etc., whatever is needed. But if people become impious, irreligious, and do not follow the moral principles, religious principles, then nature withholds. Because nature is also not just inert matter, there is a personality behind. As I explained that there is also a person, earth. She is a female. Same, the air, water, everything has a personality. And they control these elements, these things. So if earth is not happy, then it doesn't produce enough grains. So then you have to put more fertilizer, or you have to bring out different breeds of grains so that more produce comes. Originally it was not like that. The original grains were growing without much of this fertilizer and this and that. And there was no need of insecticide, pesticide. All these side things were not needed. So when people stopped worshipping earth, the nature, because in the olden time, if you see all the tribals, they worship. People think that they are backward. Actually, they are not backward. They have more sense. They are more close to nature. But now when we have forgotten that, so the earth is withholding. So it does not produce easily. So then we have to extract it by force. By putting chemicals, this, that. And then we get into trouble because of that. Then you get disease. And then the earth becomes weaker. And if you put too much fertilizer, then it becomes completely barren. So there was a king. Earlier we read the story of King Vena. When Vena was there, he was also something like Hiranyakashipu, but he was only on earth planet. And he declared that he is God and people should worship only him and they should not do any sacrifice for anybody else. So people stopped doing yajna, pleasing the nature, devas. So outcome of that was that there was no produce coming from the earth. Because previously there was not much machinery for farming. Now everything is done by machine. Most things were coming naturally. There was no arrangement to water fields. There was no electricity. Everything depended on rains or rivers. And still a lot of food used to come. But then rains became erratic. There was drought, too much rain, floods. All those things started happening. And man was trying to find other ways, stopping the rivers, pumping water and all that. So in case of Vena, it happened that people were not getting enough food. And earth was not giving enough food. So now the question comes that why she is giving enough food in case of Hiranyakashipu? Because he is also not religious. It should be like as it happened in case of Vena. So he explains that the difference between Vena and Hiranyakashipu is that Hiranyakashipu has a lot of power. And the earth was afraid that if she does not produce enough, then Hiranyakashipu will kill her. Vena did not have that power. Vena was ultimately killed by the sages when he stopped the yajnas and he was proclaiming he is God himself. Then the sages came and they killed him by mantra. But Hiranyakashipu cannot be killed even by these sages. These sages are going and praising him because he is much more powerful than them. So even earth was afraid that if she does not produce enough, then he is going to attack her. So being afraid, she is giving, not out of happiness. When people are pious, religious and dharmic, then she gives out of pleasure, like mother gives to children, out of love. But now she was giving because she was fearing, like all these people are bringing gifts to him. Not that they love him. They know that this guy is a terror and I don't want to be in the bad books because he will trouble me. So like sometimes people are afraid of the mafias and they give them some monthly, right? Monthly payment, so that this guy leaves us alone. So that does not mean that he is happy to do that. He is only hoping that somebody, I'll be happy if he gets shot or something. Somebody kills this fellow. So they are extracting by power, by force, by putting fear. So that's, even earth was afraid. So that is his power. Ratna karascha ratnodhan tatpatnyascha hururmibhi charasvidho bhrita kshodra rathikshiram mitodakaraha mitodaka. So not only this, but even the oceans, they were bringing the gems. Ocean in Sanskrit is called Ratnakara. Ratnakara means from where you get the Ratna. Your name is Ratna Devi?
Yes.
So what is Ratna means?
Jewel, or it's not jewel, it's pearl. Pearl. Yeah.
So they come from the ocean.
Yeah.
So therefore ocean is called Ratnakara. One of the names for ocean is Ratnakara. Akara means the mine and Ratna means pearl. So it is the mine of pearls. And Ratna Devi comes from that. Right?
From the ocean.
She is the goddess of the pearls. And the pearls are in the ocean. So there are various types of oceans. The ocean which you know is the ocean of salty water. There are also oceans of sweet water. There are oceans of milk. There are oceans of yogurt. There are oceans of ghee. The whole ocean is ghee. You can dip in it. There are oceans of sugarcane juice. And there are oceans of wine. These are 7 types of oceans. So all these oceans, they were also supplying all their needs, whatever is needed by Hiranyakashipu. If he wants wine, okay, I send you 1 barrel. If you need ghee, 1 truckload is coming. And the rivers are considered as the wives of the ocean. Why rivers are considered as wives of the ocean? Anybody? Not the feet, they are running towards him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like they're feeding into the ocean.
Yes.
Like
It's like if you love somebody, then you are always wanting to go to that. So wherever the rivers are, they are very anxious to reach ocean, right? And once they reach ocean, then they are stable. So if you love somebody, then you want to meet that person. And once you meet that person, then your journey ends there. So the rivers are like the wives, and not just wives, because some wives, they don't want to meet the husband. They are hoping that husband goes on the leave somewhere for a few days. The office sends him somewhere, then I can have my affair. So these are the chaste wives. They don't look for any other husband or lover or paramour. They are only day and night only dreaming to reach the husband. So very chaste ladies, these rivers. This is the example of love. The example of love is how the river flows non-stop towards the ocean. Like that, your mind should be always flowing towards the object of love. Whether you are sleeping or dreaming or awake, and nothing can stop you. So that is called love. This is what love means. If you love somebody, then mind naturally runs to that, right? You may be sitting here, but your mind is thinking of that person. Nobody knows outside what is going inside. So like that, our mind should be on God, because He is actually the object of our love. So manogati ravichinna Ganga ambudi ambasoyata. Like the river Ganga, the water is flowing to the ocean. Tadguna suti matrena. So just by hearing, then your mind is immediately going to the Lord. So this is the oceans. Tatpatnya nadya uhu prapyamasu ratnakarana ksharita. So Akridam Kridastham Shaila Droni Bhirakridam Sarvartishu Gunandramaha Nadhara Lokapalanam Ekeva Prithagunan. So then he is describing, basically he is showing how everybody was under his control. So he says the mountains and the valleys, they were like his playground, as if the mountain valleys were giving him place to play, and the trees, they were all bringing fruit in the season, and he alone was the protector of all the planets. Like there are Lokpalas. Every direction also has a deity. So east, west, and there are 8 directions. So there are 8 Lokpalas. They are called Lokpal. Means caretaker of those directions. So he was alone presiding over all the directions. That's why he was called Ekarat. That's the boon he took, that I should be supreme and I don't want anyone else. Saitham nirjita kakubeka rada vishyan priyan yathopajosham bhanjano nati tripadachitendriyaha. So now this is the important message actually. This is the essence of this story up till now. He says that in this way he was the controller, the lone ruler, emperor of all directions. and he was using everything for his pleasure. Whatever he needed, whatever type of food or any other sense pleasure he wanted, everything was for him. But still he was not satisfied. Why was he not satisfied? Because he was actually the slave of his senses. Everything. So sometimes we think that we are enjoying, but actually you are not enjoying, but you are getting enjoyed. Bhogana bhukta vayameva bhukta. So you may think that you are enjoying the food, but actually the food is enjoying you. You are getting enjoyed in the process, because by enjoying this you are losing your power. You are becoming weak and you are becoming conditioned, because anything you enjoy, you become slave of that. If you like chocolate, then you will get a craving for chocolate. And if you don't get it, then you are disturbed. Right? So now this little chocolate becomes the cause of your disturbance. You lose your peace and you are hankering, where can I find it? If you enjoy smoking, then you become slave of cigarette. And if you don't get it, when you have that craving, then you are very restless. So when you enjoy anything, then you are conditioned by that, and you may think that you are the enjoyer, which means you are superior, and that is the enjoyed. But the reality is that you are getting overpowered by that object. That object is now going to exercise strength over you without you knowing it. You will not realize it, but you are actually under the control of that object. So therefore he says that yathopajosam bhanjano na tripyadajitende. He was not satisfied. So number one, he became the slave of these sense objects. Number two, he was not satisfied, because as I said, that satisfaction cannot come from anything material. So all the material objects, they are the source of suffering. Dukhyani evata. Krishna says, Adyantavanta kaunteya na teshu ramte buddha. So those who are wise people, they do not run after these things. So all these vishayas, the sense objects, they ultimately give us trouble. They bind us. So therefore the solution says that yastu atmariti eva sad atmatiktasya manava. One who is satisfied within oneself, then that is different. So obviously Hiranyakashipu is a glaring example of dissatisfaction from sense pleasure. Because nobody can have the facility which he had. It's not possible for us to be like, and he is not happy. So we should learn from his example not to try this. And then we will see the counter example that is his son. And the story will come. How he was completely satisfied. So father and son, the opposite poles, North Pole, South Pole. One is complete materialist and the other is completely in love with God. So you can compare, contrast. The story is given to contrast this. Because Krishna has spoken this in Bhagavad Gita, but he only speaks two verses. Yahi sansparsya bhoga dukhi yone evote adyantu antakante nate surante vida. So here we have a person who is personification of sansparsya bhoga, who is only into sense pleasure, who has denied God completely, which means have nothing to do with love. Hell with all this love affair with God, with devotion, with surrender. So this is his story, and then we will have Prahlad, his son, who is the opposite, who is completely devoted to God. So then we will see how he is situated. So that is the meaning behind the story. I'll stop here if there is any question.
So this Narada Muni, he was singing
Bhajan, because when you have this Indian classical raga, the other person cannot figure out what he is saying. Anyway, he was intoxicated.
So then, this Hiranyakashipu, he had also a lot, because before we saw that he was also giving lectures, no? He had some kind of understanding and knowledge, but he completely refused to, he wants to be basically the supreme. This is his maximum extent.
Yeah, that is the purpose of material life, is that I am supreme.
To be the only one.
That is the ultimate materialism.
So these, the demigods and all the different divine beings that he overtook, they didn't actually really know that he was that powerful to defeat them? Because
No,
if
they know that he's powerful.
like, I mean, before they actually encountered him, if they would know, then they would just not even bother trying to fight with him, like, you know, attack him.
No, nobody attacked him. Nobody attacked him.
So he just walked in there and just took over peacefully.
Yeah, everybody already standing with folded hands. Everybody surrendered to him. He didn't fight with them.
What does it represent for us? What does it represent for us and everyone? It's just a being to him, and what he represents in us.
No, what he represents, I already said, he represents the limit of a materialistic person and shows how this does not give pleasure, satisfaction to the heart. And therefore one should not follow that path.
But why don't everyone just be with him, not try to?
What can they do? So what it represents is that if someone is such a powerful materialist, then better you bow down so that you protect yourself. And then you can continue doing your worship or whatever you are doing. He doesn't know what is in your mind. So externally you can...
So basically, it's better not to try to fight or...
What is the use of fighting with an enemy who is just going to smash you? That's not wise.
But doesn't it mean some weakness if you don't try to go against or to I don't know, somehow also to position yourself in your point of view?
Yeah, but what do you do if the other person is so powerful? What can you do?
I think it depends on the situation. In this story, he's so powerful that he...
That's what I'm saying. If the
Yeah.
enemy is so powerful, then the wisdom says that you keep.
Well, you can die, it's also a good thing sometimes to do.
Why? What will you gain by dying?
Yeah, this is my question. If you're just being in this situation, don't you go against yourself, against your faith, against
No,
your...
you're not going. You go against your faith if you believe in him. If you believe in his philosophy that Krishna is not God, as he's saying, I am God. So if you believe in that in your heart, then you are going against your faith. But if you know that I don't believe in what he said, but what can I do? I'm forced.
We see this in the Christian culture.
Yeah, these Christian
They
people
get
have a
themselves
different
into-
ideas. They just want to sacrifice
Yeah.
for. But what is the meaning of that? So this Christian idea is not supported here. That why do I have to sacrifice for this?
It's not that you have to, it's just that you're in a feeling that if I really trust in God, if I really believe in God, then somehow whenever someone is just goes like truly against your faith, like he or she, whatever, tries to also limit your faith, that you cannot show it anymore, then you're also somehow not sincere with yourself, because if you really love God and trust God, then you'll be naturally how you are. You will be how Prahlada Maharaj was. He was just preaching and praying and singing and loving God. He wasn't suppressed by his father.
Yeah, so
He
obviously
tried.
these other people also, not that they are all the time afraid of him. They are not living with Hiranyakashipu, right?
Yeah.
So if they have to give once a year or once a month some gift to him, they go and give him. The rest of the time Hiranyakashipu is not coming and watching what they are doing. He is not going around and trying to make this law. He's, as we already saw, he's in his own house, intoxicated, enjoying. So why I have to get myself killed unnecessarily?
Can we say also it depends on the evolution of that person? Like in Prahlad Maharaj, he didn't, he always didn't make any compromise, you know.
Yeah, because Prahlad Maharaj has his own internal vision also. So it's also true, depends on what level one is. So in case of Prahlad Maharaj, he did not bother, because he was already situated on that platform. But everybody may not be like that.
So generally they were ruled by fear, actually. They were ruled by fear inside of themselves. They were actually full of fear. And
Yeah.
Prahlad Maharaj was not.
Yeah, Prahlad Maharaj was not.
Babaji, this fear is coming also because they want something for themselves. Because if you don't...
That's what I'm saying, we have to see situation. Like in India also, when Muslims were ruling here, okay, so someone comes and he tells that, okay, you eat this or something, otherwise either you become a Muslim or I will kill you, for example. So now many people, they said, no, I will not become Muslim and I will get myself killed. And many people sacrifice themselves. And this is very much glorified, right? In Christianity also there are so many examples.
Sense, yeah.
But I'm not saying that there is wrong, but there is also another way. I will say, okay, what you are telling me, I will do it. But inside I don't change, and whenever I get an opportunity, I'm going to cut your head.
Yeah, there's also a way to fight. No?
And that is the way to fight. Otherwise, everybody either they will be converted or they are killed. So that is another weakness, I will say.
That sounds more glorious, but actually, you give more room to people to overpower others also.
So in Christianity, they actually used this so-called sacrificing and all that to get pity from people. This was one of their technique to convert. If you actually read the history, what they were doing, that they will incite people to trouble them, and then this will change many people's heart. This was their way to convert people.
It's just interesting that just by not being able to be killed, Hiranyakashipu got all this power to conquer. Just by that ability. Like no one, because if you all unite together and
It's about this, the earth which was afraid, and she was giving by, not by love, but because she was forced to be. So when there's some devotion, okay, then earth she feels inspired to give. And then I was wondering about this human sacrifice and all this kind of thing. Like, as you mentioned, these tribal people, they were always offering something to Mother Earth and giving something back to her, so that she feels inspired to maintain and give more. So nowadays on this planet there are many situations which many parts of the earth is already barren and is really just she has already withdrawn so much of the opulence and so. But I was wondering if by devotion or by being offering to her back what she deserved, then some portion of the earth can flourish and some not, according to how she responds also in small portion, basically, if she will respond.
That is possible.
It's possible.
There are studies that have been done with Masuro Emoto, the studies of water experiments of praying over water
Yeah,
with
these
words, and they've healed bodies of water by through meditation.
to pollution.
Yeah.
Removing pollution.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah, that's what that's what
which book is that?
Masuro
So this is off or on now?
You turn it off.
How to heal also